Hello, so in this video I'm going to teach you about different ways that you can wire up electrical circuits. Specifically, I'm going to teach you the difference between a series and a parallel arrangement of resistors. So part 1, I got to tell you about the initial concept, what these definitions, series and parallel, even mean. As a reminder, electricity flows out of batteries through loops of wire. Electrons leave one end, they move through the wire until they reach something that takes their energy away, it slows them down, and then they go back into the battery on the other side. So they move in loops. We represent real-world situations with symbols. This is the symbol for a battery. This is the symbol for a resistor. It's something that slows down the electrons and takes away their kinetic energy. And these straight lines are just wires. This is the particular example circuit I'm going to use right now. Now, if you have one resistor, one light bulb, you can attach it basically anywhere, and it'll act exactly the same. If you put it far away from the battery, or you put it close to the positive side, or close to the negative side, it'll light up the same way. But if you want to put in a second resistor, your choice of position will actually change its behavior. So let's say I have a second resistor, a second light bulb, and I want to power it with the same battery. I have two basic choices for how I want to attach this new resistor. I could put it on the same wire loop as the old one, meaning that I just make it a bigger loop and I put the new light bulb on it. And we will call this arrangement, where you have two different resistors that are on the same loop, a series arrangement of resistors. Or you could make a new loop instead for this new resistor. So instead of putting it on the same loop, you could put a new loop in. And we call resistors on different loops parallel resistors. Now, parallel resistors can look pretty different from each other. This, and this are all parallel arrangements. The key is that every possible path only goes through one resistor. So, right here, this is probably the simplest one. Electrons leave the negative end, they go through this resistor, and then they end up back where they started. I went through a full loop, but I only went through one resistor. Same here. I go through the negative end, I go through one resistor, and now I'm back. This one seems maybe different. It doesn't matter which end you start with or end with, so let's just do a loop. I'll start here, I'll go through, and at this fork in the road, I can choose left or right. If I choose left, this is what I do. And notice that I only went through one resistor. I only went through this one. The one on the right is totally untouched. So this is two different loops, even though it looks like only one. If you draw a loop with your finger and it only goes through one resistor, it's called parallel resistors. But if it goes through multiple, it's called series resistors. So part 2, let me tell you about the difference in behavior between series and parallel arrangements. A series circuit, reminder, they're all in a row. The electrons go through every single one. But in a parallel circuit, they're in different loops, so every electron will only choose one of them to go through. Basically, let me step you through what happens. You have an electron that leaves the negative end of the battery. They move through the wire until they hit a resistor. And then when they hit a resistor, they lose some energy. The kinetic energy that they had is removed. They slow down. Maybe it gets turned into light or heat or something. And then they continue on their path all the way back to the other end of the light bulb. So if I have a parallel arrangement, then what's going to happen is the electrons are going to do basically the same thing they did before. They're going to leave. They're going to go through a resistor where they lose some energy, and then they're going to come back. They're going to lose about the same amount of energy too, because they only go through one resistor. So this is what happens if I have a parallel arrangement, where they only go through one. So now let's talk about what happens when you have them in a series arrangement. What happens in a series arrangement is the electron leaves the battery, then it gets slowed down by this resistor, and then it moves, and it gets slowed down by another resistor even more, so it gets slowed down twice, so it gets extra slow, and then it comes back before it completes the loop. So because it hits two resistors, it gets extra slow. And this results in different behavior. So if you have them in parallel, this side is the parallel arrangement, where each one only goes through one loop, you have equally bright light bulbs, because the electrons are moving at the same speed as they were when there was just one wire. But if you have it in a series arrangement, where it has to go through every single one, then every electron is going to be way slower, because it moves through 3 different roadblocks. And so that's going to lead to dimmer light bulbs. So what you have here is the same battery and the same light bulbs, but on this side you have a parallel arrangement, and on this side you have a series arrangement, and they have different behavior. So finally, I have to teach you to distinguish them. If you look at a diagram, is it a series or a parallel diagram? This one, is it series or parallel? Well, the way you can tell is you draw a loop. So let me start at the battery, and I want to go in a circle. I hit one resistor, and then I hit another resistor. So because I hit two resistors in my loop, that means that this is a series arrangement. What about this one? Well, this looks tricky. It might be one loop or two loop, but let's just draw a picture. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go around, and there we go. I went through one resistor, and I'm back. I only went through one resistor to go through the loop. And so if I only hit one of them, it's called a parallel arrangement. What about this one? This looks weird. Well, let me just draw a loop. I'll start here, and I'll go down here, I guess. I go through one resistor, and I'm back where I started. So if I only go through one, it's parallel. Now, there was no reason why I had to go through this one. I could have started here and then gone through that loop. I would still only have hit one. Or maybe I could have gone through this loop all the way in the end. And I still would have only hit one. When you have a parallel arrangement, there's going to be a bunch of different possibilities, but every possibility is going to give you one resistor only. That's why it's parallel. What about this one? Well, let me do a loop. I'll start here, and I'll go through, and that's one resistor that I hit, and it's two resistors, and now I'm back. So because I hit more than one, I have to go through multiple in a row, and that's called a series resistor. Okay, that's it. I hope that was helpful. If it helps you remember, you can think of it like, when you watch a TV series, you watch one episode after the other. Like, you have to watch them in a row, multiple episodes. That's what a series is. And then parallel is the other one, the one that doesn't have a lot of them in a row. Anyway, I hope that was helpful.